We're recording. What do you got there?
We're talking about the 4 doctors.
What are they?
Well, I think there's 5 doctors, but according to Paul Chek, there's 4. Although he did teach me about the 5th one. Okay, so we got 4 doctors. Okay, our 4 doctors. First one, Dr. Happiness. Are you happy?
Yes. Yes, I'm very happy.
Second one, Dr. Quiet.
Are you quiet?
I talk a lot. Our daughter sings a lot.
Our daughter loves to sing and to dance.
Dr. Movement, and then Dr. Diet. Okay, so those are the 4 main doctors. Quiet, diet, movement, and happiness. The 5th doctor, the pain doctor. Okay, we're not going to talk a lot about the pain doctor today, but I will say I learned that from Paul years ago, and the pain doctor is our greatest teacher. For the reason that without the pain doctor, we generally don't change as humans.
And honestly, the most amount of clients that come knocking on our doors.
I know, and you're like, it comes from love. And I'm like, no, it comes from pain. Transformation comes from pain.
It's
Yeah,
a
it's
whole
a whole
other
video.
video.
But anyways, usually we seek change and transformation when we're in pain. Whether it's physical pain, emotional pain. What other pain is there? Really, it's those 2.
Those 2.
Yeah, physical, emotional, right?
Yeah.
So you're probably with us because you feel emotional pain or physical pain, right? Pain doctor, perfect. The pain doctor is present because the other 4 doctors are out of whack.
Yes.
Fair?
True.
Okay, so we're going to go over some basics of those 4 doctors. And we're going to start with the most elusive one, which is Dr. Happiness. Okay, what makes you happy? What makes you happy?
You make me happy, baby.
Oh, goodness. Okay, try again.
You set me up for that one.
Try again.
Our daughter makes me happy. Helping all of the clients that come to us really do make me happy. It fills my heart up.
Okay.
Nature makes me happy. Sunshine makes me happy. Food makes me happy now. I've really grown into that one.
It's funny, I'm looking at my notes here. Females rely on men to make them happy. And then on my next note is, if you want flowers, buy them yourself, and then you will be happy, which is what you do.
See, you called me in way back in the day.
Oh my God, this is from like 2000 and whatever, 24? This is probably like 15, maybe earlier. Anyways, okay, so Dr. Happiness. Clearly define what it is that creates happiness in your life. Don't expect others to be responsible for making you happy. Your chosen dream should be happy making for you, or it is unlikely to be a sufficient motive for long-lasting change, right? So it comes back to like, do you love what you do every day, right? If you love what you do every day and it makes you happy, then you're probably going to be happy, healthy, and have a good life. If you are miserable every day, then your relationships, your finances, and your body are probably going to reflect that.
And this is where it comes down to, like, from the highest teachings, is that happiness is an internal game. You know, work on those things that can't be taken away from us, which is with always within self. And that's the work that I focus a lot on, is coming back to self. And happiness is that internal state of peace and joy that can never be taken away.
Yeah, I think the happiness game is interesting because, especially for those in their like 20s, potentially early 30s, a lot of us do things that make other people happy, therefore we're happy. You know, it's like, oh, I got this big house and I have a wife and a child and I have this business, and it was really because that's what my parents wanted, so I made them happy, therefore I'm happy. But really, you're miserable on the inside because it wasn't actually ever what you wanted. You know what I mean?
Which I feel a really important thread to this is being able to define what is happiness for you. And I can answer that for myself, is this state of peace. When I'm in this state of peace, I am like exuberating happiness. When I am not in that state, then it feels like a different energy. So I feel like that could be a thread of this one. I was just really defining like what does happiness mean to you, and being able to define that.
So there is going to be a questionnaire on all the doctors, and right from Paul Chek and the Chek Institute. They're awesome. The questionnaire is there. Fill it out. Very simple, very like, what doctor needs the most amount of attention, and where do we need to focus? Okay. So that was Dr. Happiness. Dr. Quiet. Dr. Quiet. I feel like we don't have enough quiet time in our life. Okay, Dr. Quiet is a chief physician. What does that mean? Sleeping is free. Sleeping is free, and sleeping is the best medicine. Therefore, it's the best physician.
True.
Okay, we should be sleeping 7 to 8 hours a day. 7 to 8 hours, adults should be sleeping. Kids, 10 hours. Okay, that's just what they need.
And as a mother, this one is hard,
Mm-hmm.
and it's possible, but it's very hard.
Fact. So, Dr. Quiet. Dr. Quiet is not watching TV. Okay. Yeah, that's a big one. Dr. Quiet is not watching TV.
And it's like creating space to slow down.
Correct.
Is how I perceive this doctor to be. Is we live in a very busy, chaotic world and society that it doesn't set us up to be still and be quiet. There's constant stimulation everywhere. We have our phones are going off all of the time. We have things and people to respond to. And so with this doctor specifically, I would encourage you to create space in your day to be quiet. And it sometimes would take like scheduling it in to like quiet time or downtime, just like we do with children, of having quiet time, slow time. Is like we do that with our children, and why don't we do that with ourselves? I know for us with our daughter, that hour before she goes to bed, after she's had a bath and eaten her food, is like there's some quiet time to read books, sometimes dance, soca, but we do try to have a bit more of like quiet time before bed. But it does take it's work.
Yeah, so Dr. Quiet would essentially be anything that allows the stillness of the nervous system.
Yeah.
Okay. It could be reading, it could be meditation, it could be taking a nap. Obviously, sleeping is a part of the equation. Maybe it's going for a little walk, right? Not a brisk walk, but a nice gentle walk, just to allow some quiet time. Honestly, I have to drive, and I drive with no music, no radio, no nothing. And sometimes that's the only quiet time I get in my day, just based on having a little one that is very busy.
Yeah. And for me, it's being in nature. So the quietness can be, not listening to a podcast or learning or music. It's just being quiet with nature. And I find nature is our biggest teacher. And so just being able to like listen and feel and sense and just tap into, allow our nervous system to respond to what is around us and to attune to that space. And Dr. Quiet can be a really powerful place when in nature.
Yeah. Honestly, most people who have health issues just need to slow down, generally speaking. So yeah, Dr. Quiet in whatever capacity that is for you and how it fits into your life. But I would say the chief one is napping and sleeping. Okay, making sure, going back to like our 3 primary things, are you sleeping? Are you pooping? Are you absorbing your water? Okay, sleep is key.
And we can maybe add this in here of if anyone's looking for some way to track their sleep, is we both wear our Aura rings, and it's a way to get some metrics on like how are you sleeping, because sometimes people will ask us like, I don't know. It will be another video, so stay tuned. So maybe we'll just sprinkle a bit of a plug and a seed.
A plug. We have no.
I mean, I do.
We have no affiliates with Aura Ring, okay? But they are great. I'm wearing them. She's wearing it. It's great. Are you good? Okay, we're moving on. We're talking with Dr. Movement, okay? I feel like we're good for Dr. Quiet. Dr. Movement, okay? How much movement do I need to be healthy? How much workout time do I need to accomplish my specific dream? How much work in time do I need to accomplish my specific dream? Right. So if we're talking about dreams and we're talking about the dream might be a perfect mom or a CEO or a triathlon or a bodybuilding competition, like whatever it is, these doctors need to reflect the dream of that person, which relates to Dr. Happiness, right? It all ties in together. So Dr. Movement, I feel like a lot of us are pretty good at, not true. I will rephrase that. I feel like people are more quick to understand that they have to go to the gym or they have to work out or they have to walk. Like people are more understanding that they need to do that in order to achieve health. Valid. Sometimes we overuse exercise in the effort of thinking more is better, which is completely not true. And we had to bring in more Dr. Quiet in order to create some balance. Okay. And so movement, like the lymphatic system, I'm sure we need to do a video on that, but the lymphatic system has no pump. Okay. The only way it pumps is when muscles contract. So whether that's workouts, Pilates, yoga, walking, running, sprinting, you name it, doesn't really matter. that is how you pump the lymphatic system. Okay, muscles have piezoelectric crystals in them, which are basically, just think of a crystal that can hold energy. It can be charged through movement, which is why when we start working out, we have more energy, because we do. Our muscles actually store energy for us. Okay, so doctor movement is super important. I'm a big fan of like the 10,000 step idea, right? Not that I really care about tracking steps, but it's just like, are you moving enough in a day? Okay. Unfortunately, you know, as humans, we evolved outside, barefoot for the most part, under the sun, doing shit all day. Now we sit inside under blue light, with rubber soles on, and we sit on our butt, right? We sit on our butt to go to work, we sit on our butt at work, we sit on our butt to go home, and then we sit on our butt at home, okay? And telling me that you do an hour workout 3 times a week is not enough compared to like how we should be doing it. And if you're weight training, trust me, I know, you're still not moving, because you can do an entire workout just like in one place, just like flexing your arms. And it's not exactly the same. So having a balance between anaerobic activities, which would be more like weight training, and aerobic activities, which would be some sort of cardio-based activity, whether it's walking, running, sprinting, or sports, is really important on the movement dynamic. But I don't want to get too deep into that.
And some really simple solutions for those of you guys that are watching on this one is something simple as when you go to the grocery store, park at the very back of the parking lot. It may sound really simple, but it's like getting those extra steps to like be going in.
Just like a half-hour walk in the morning, half-hour walk in the evening. Like you finish eating dinner, instead of like putting on TV, just like go outside and go for a walk. You know what I mean?
There are really simple ways. It's just it's easier to not do that, especially like we know as business owners that the day gets away.
And there's a lot to that, you know, like there's circadian biology with walking in the morning and walking in the evening. There's blood sugar regulation with walking after a meal. Like there's just so many pieces to that. So you just got to kind of take it where you can. For a lot of us in the entrepreneur space, like if you can do a call while walking instead of sitting at your desk, that can be really beneficial. And you just have to take charge of that. Be like, hey, Bob, you know, like we're going to have our call. I'm going to be on headphones. I'm going to be walking around. That way I'm not sitting on my butt for the 8 hours a day that I need to sit down. So there's a few ideas, okay? I feel like a lot of us can be good at Dr. Movement. Dr. Quiet and Dr. Happiness is where we tend to struggle. The last doctor would be Dr. Diet, okay? What quality food will best fuel What quality food will best fuel you in your experience of living your dream? What is the best proportion of plant and animal foods that are for you? How often should you be eating based on your dream activities? And what foods can you use as rewards for sticking to your program? Oh, look at that. Rewards, cheat meals, right? So based on like what your dream is, your activity levels, your age, your fitness goals, there's a lot of variation to that, okay? I think the simplest thing with Dr. Diet is, are we eating one ingredient foods, right? If we're not eating one ingredient foods, we're going to have health issues. I think I could just
eat whole foods.
I think I could just like end it there.
End it there.
Yeah.
Totally.
If it doesn't go bad in a couple of days, you probably shouldn't be eating it.
Yeah.
Like literally that simple. Shouldn't be any more complicated than that. Okay? So looping back into the working in versus working out. What do you got to say on that?
I've got a lot to say on this. This is like usually the first things that I will recommend clients that I work with is to be finding ways to be working in and working out.
What does that even mean?
Yeah, so working in is working on the internal world, meditation.
I go work out though for that.
Yes. And so where I was going to go with this is depending on where somebody is at, we'll be able to see, do you need more working in or working out? So this isn't like a one size fit all blanket statement. It's to see if you are out of balance, aka you tend to work out more, then how can we create more space in your daily lifestyle to be working in more? If you're one that is working in quite a lot, aka the spiritual community, those that spend more time in the plant medicine space, then oftentimes to get them into more balance, it's be working out more. So
yeah, so you can consider working in and working out versus like yin and yang, okay? Yin is very restorative, very yin yoga, right? Very restorative, very cooling, very nurturing. Yang can be very hot, chaotic, busy. So most people there who have, health stuff going on tend to be more yang, more fire, more inflamed, which usually leads to disease. Okay, so most people will say, working in, it's like, what do you do to relax? And they'll be like, oh, I go to the gym or I watch TV. And it's like, those are not energy cultivation exercises.
And this is the part of the working in, is this is where our spiritual practices can be really powerful in this space as well too. Of some form of daily devotion is usually the language that I'll use. If we can kind of tie this into as well of like masculine and feminine energies, not necessarily the male and the female, but the more of the being versus the doing. And so the working in can be more in the state of being. And as I mentioned earlier in the video of like spending time in nature is one of the most powerful ways to be doing that working in practice and actually being with what is inside, and having that daily prayer, that daily devotion, some form of a practice to something bigger than yourself or higher than ourselves is like really powerful. And coming back to the concept of meditation is really being aware of our thoughts, and that is that internal thought system is what that working in is all about, to really see like what is actually happening and what are my belief systems and how can I shift this.
Yeah, so essentially it comes down to, working out is essentially energy leaving the body. Okay, so anything that is taking energy away from you falls into the working out category. I feel like everyone's good at that. We do that all day, every day for the most part. Then we have the working in category, which is energy cultivation. And if you're here because you have health issues, then generally we need to cultivate life force. We need to bring energy back into the system. And so some examples would be like slow walking, whether that's in nature or if you're in the city, just put on a nice little playlist and go for a really slow walk, something that's not stressful on the system. Any sort of like stretching or movement flow in the morning could be great, or in the evening, depending on your schedule. Things like yoga, things like meditation, things like prayer. I guess journaling, if it can cultivate energy for you. If it stresses you out, then no. Right? Tai Chi and Qigong are actually slow movement energy cultivation practices. So really it comes down to like, is there a time in your day where you're cultivating energy outside of sleeping? Essentially, and finding a balance between the working in and working out as it pertains to the Dr. Quiet, which is really important.
And what I've learned from a research standpoint is doing this first thing in the morning is actually the most beneficial for your day. To set your day up that first thing in the morning, you devote however much time you have, 10 minutes to 1 hour to be working in before you enter into the busyness of the world. So, keeping your phone on airplane mode. Obviously, if you have things to respond to, you do just that. But it's what I'm getting at is creating space in your morning to be working in is really powerful to set you up for the day. It's checking in with self before we are then checking in with others. And that's backed by research and also personal experiences that does really help. So give it a go.
And sometimes you got to do it more than just in the morning. Like I remember I had a call with the girl the other day, and her day starts off great, and by lunch it's like derailed, and it just like continues through the rest of the day. So maybe it's like part of the lunch break is you take 10 minutes or 20 minutes to kind of get yourself back on track. Or when you get home from work, you just do a little like check in and do what you need to do to set yourself up to have a good evening and a good sleep. Because shifting our emotional state is the most important thing when it comes to having a thriving body and mind, is shifting our emotional state, and whatever working in practice does that for you is the most important. Erin loves to go for her walks, and that's important for her.
And this is where the empowerment piece comes into play, that everyone that we work with this is the thread of it, is being able to help empower you to know like, what do I need at what point? And I'm really big on that, is like for you to be able to tune into your own system, your own body, to know like, what is it that I need right now because I'm feeling dysregulated. And so yes, that may be first thing in the morning, but for sure it may be middle of the afternoon or later in the evening. But all of this is around the self-empowerment, is to be able to see like, what is it that I need right now? Yeah,
and something that just popped in my head would be like cold plunges or saunas. Yes, it is stressful on the body, but a lot of people will find a place of stillness and center themselves and find and get into that meditative state, whether in the sauna or whether in the cold plunge, and they're almost able to like separate from the stress on the body. So it is different for everyone, which is why we kind of need to play around and practice with like what feels good for you, right? Life is the game. Time to practice. Let us know where your working in activities are.
Does sex count?